It was still pretty fun. Hey guys, what's going on? This is my video of a couple of highlights from the Guilty Gear Strive beta, which I got into. I had intended for this to be more of a live commentary style video, where I live commentated, sort of talked over the matches and my gameplay experience as I was having it, but my webcam and audio capture was unusable, so unfortunately I just collected a couple of highlights and I'm just going to record some of my thoughts over it. If you guys want to see more of the gameplay, I do have nearly 4 hours of footage from the Saturday portion of the beta, so let me know and I can grab a couple more highlights and maybe put up another video for you. Just let me know what you guys would like. In terms of collecting my thoughts, I'm going to try to keep it brief. I've actually tried to record this a couple of times, and it's just simply not gone well for me, and I've not been thrilled with how it's come out, so I'm going to try to keep it brief. Ultimately, I had a lot of fun with the game while I was playing it. And by that I mean, once I'm in a game, it was a bunch of fun. The problem was the net play experience was super problematic. You know, the lobby system was awful. Getting into games just half the time didn't work. They really over-engineered the whole lobby system, and I don't know why ArcSys continues to reinvent the wheel every time a new game comes out, and they just... What's wrong with menu-driven lobbies anymore? I don't know why we need for these weird chibi avatar lobbies and stuff like that. It just feels really needless. And I also mean that hearing some of the community's thoughts, particularly from better players than I and more experienced Guilty Gear veterans than I, after the beta ended, sort of colored my experience and helped to articulate some of the things that I was experiencing but not necessarily mindful of, the biggest of which was sort of the strength of jumps. Lord Knight hilariously referred to this game as, like, reminding him a lot of Super Mario Sunshine, which is to say that you just jump a lot. It's a platformer, which I think is maybe sort of unfair. It's definitely supposed to be funny, but I think there is some truth to it, namely that it feels like a lot of characters, once you go to the air, given the fact that air unblockable moves don't exist, once you go to the air, there's not much to be done. And the speed of the air dash being slow, meaning that the air dash isn't necessarily for mix-ups, but it's more for movement and a way in, sort of means that going to the air is like the thing to do in order to advance in, and it sort of creates this weird sensation in neutral where, like, you're either going to the air or going on the ground, and that's sort of like the mix. It's like, do you want to challenge them in the air, or do you want to challenge them on the ground? Did they jump? Are you going to try to anti-air, or do you just want to punish them when they land because you don't think they're going to commit to a button? They're just going to go down and try to bait your anti-air. It's this kind of weird sensation, and in the May matchup in particular, it felt super bizarre, where, like, trying to anti-air her stuff felt super irritating. But honestly, that's probably largely just me. You know, I wasn't sure what to do. I spent the weekend playing Kai, and I thought Kai was really fun. His kit felt really good. He did exactly what I want from a character like this in general, and this is sort of the character archetype that I found myself playing a lot recently, which is really good buttons and long limbs, safe pressure, and easy, sort of simple set play. Like, set a simple trap and then go for, you know, a read-driven mix-up afterwards that you can sort of build layers on top of. I really find that type of character interesting lately, because I find that it lets me engage with the game and the player very directly without, you know, gimmicks or any sort of weird stuff. But, you know, the other characters in the cast, like, everybody seemed super cool. The only character I didn't really get to play any against was Axel and Chip. I think I played one game against Axel and one game against Chip, both. But, yeah, I mean, in general, the game was fun. The UI is a mess. I am trying to finish things off, and then I just saw the positive bonus show up on the screen there, and once again, there are things about this game that, in hindsight, end up really problematic. Like, the UI needs so much work. They've tweaked the life bars and stuff already, but, like, I don't know why the hit counter is so high. I don't know why risk and burst are hidden where they are. I don't know why you need counter hit to take up the whole screen and slow stuff down. One other thing, which in none of the takes I've done, but I'm remembering to address it now, and I'll kind of end with this. I don't know who the wall break is for. Like, in theory, wall break feels like it's there for new players, who are getting oppressed in the corner. And it's like, all right, we're going to reset you to neutral, and we're going to give the person who broke the wall this positive tension bonus. But you build bar so fast that the positive bonus kind of doesn't matter. And after you've broken the wall, you probably have done so much damage to them that they're just going to die on the next hit anyway. And on top of all of that, if you break the wall with a super, you still get Oki, so the only difference is that you're not literally in the corner, but you still have to eat pressure on your wake up if the other person breaks the wall with a super. So it feels like they took some of the more dramatic visual elements from like Dragon Ball FighterZ and dropped them into this game almost haphazardly. Like, they're beautifully done. And I saw some interesting stuff where if you break the wall with 5D, you get, you know, that weird air-to-air combo thing. And I saw some Kai players were like throwing a fireball down, so when you landed on the other side after the screen transition, there was a fireball Oki. So like, that was interesting. It seems like a lot of the design decisions in general are at odds with each other. Like, they want to make the game more beginner friendly, but errant pokes into RC lead to 50-60% damage, and damage is crazy high, and one soul command throw does 40% of your life. Potemkin can kill you in one grab into a mix-up. Like, a lot of these things that seem to fly completely at odds with what it seems like people are interpreting the design sensibilities of the game to be. And I think ultimately my concerns are either that the game does end up too simple, and normally I sort of disagree with a lot of the people that complain about simplicity in a game as like a negative. I think simplicity generally means that it's easier to engage with the core gameplay. But I think Guilty Gear is one of those games that's always been sort of a more complicated game with more stuff to manage, and it's always been one of the games that's the most rewarding for your time investment. And if it ends up being something where game is played at more of a... I'm going to word it this way, and I really don't like it, but I've done a couple of takes, and I don't know how better to describe it. But if engaging with the game offensively ends up being like Street Fighter V, where it's the RPS of like throw versus strike, or how long do you leave the strike going, like if shimmies and stuff like that end up being huge, I don't know that it's going to satisfy the people that want Guilty Gear to be Guilty Gear. Obviously, it's super early. It's, you know, week minus a billion. And we did already see some people come up with some interesting stuff, like with momentum RCs to set up some crazy high-low 50-50s. So there probably is going to be mix-ups in the game. And, you know, I'm mostly interested to see what the game ends up looking like in the future. As it is right now, I think the game is super fun. Visually, as long as you ignore the UI, it's a masterclass. Arxis continues to push the envelope in terms of the presentation of the characters. I just wish the UI was better implemented. I can't wait for that rollback netcode, because the netcode and the UI, the lobby experience they have right now is just awful. And I would love to be able to spend more time dedicated in the lab and watch the real tech monsters try to push this game further, because this beta wasn't really there for pushing the game, in my opinion. Labbing against the CPU can only do so much. So I'm going to leave it at that. I know my thoughts ultimately end up being a little bit sort of bittersweet, but that's really kind of how I feel about it. I had a ton of fun until it was over, and I started looking at things in hindsight and started wondering whether it's going to scratch the itch for more people. I'm a pretty easy person to please when it comes to games like this, honestly. Like, there are a few games that I really don't like, and given enough time, I'll find the depth and appreciate any systems. But particularly for this franchise, I know that it's one where the people set the bar pretty high in terms of what they want out of the game, and I really, really hope this game ends up, you know, meeting the expectations that it needs to in order to satisfy that community. So with that, I'm going to hop off. I'm going to leave you guys. There's maybe 1 or 2 more matches after this one. Like I said, if you want to see more, I have about 4 hours of footage, so let me know, and I will find some more highlights and upload some more for you. But thank you guys for watching, and I will have more TLDR fighting games to you soon. I am finally all settled into my house, so I'm trying to collect and set up some of those ideas. Look forward to that coming at you soon, too. Enjoy, everybody.
Duel 1. Let's rock. Slap. Duel 2. Let's rock. Slap.
際どい勝負でした。